Rose.
Here.
Sam. Here.
You can all rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The approval of the agenda, Mark, anything changes or?
No changes, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have anything? The minutes from December 16th are before you, or they were on the computer. Anybody have questions, additions for the minutes of the 16th of December meeting? Hearing none, there's a motion for approval.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Special orders of the day. You made it, Coach. If you and your son would come up to the podium. Yep. We'll start by having Mark. This is Tesla Smith, defensive line coach for the
Right.
Bulldogs, third national champs in 4 years. And I thought he should be here. If you watched football yesterday, which I do all day, Miami Dolphins played. Did Siler play a little bit?
He did, yes.
NFL, Fair State. He's had several NFL stars, and I'm prejudiced. I think it's his coaching ability. He doesn't. Mark, if you'd read the proclamation, please.
Sure. Proclamation recognition of Ferris State University football team. Whereas on December 21st, 2024, Ferris State University's football team became a three-time NCAA Division II national champions, and whereas head coach Tony Annese led the Ferris State Bulldogs defeating Valdosta State University by a score of 49-14 to secure the national championship, and whereas Ferris State Bulldogs football team had a record of 14-1 for the 2024 season, and whereas head coach Tony Annese and his staff, along with an outstanding group of student athletes, have made Ferris State football one of the winningest programs in all of college football. Therefore, the City Commission of the City of Big Rapids hereby with great pride extend congratulations to Ferris State University's football team on becoming three-time NCAA Division II national champions and for their outstanding accomplishments, hard work, and ability. Coach Annese, his staff, and players are an outstanding representation of the Big Rapids community. Signed by the whole City Commission. All right.
Tespa lives 3 houses down from me. There's a special place in my heart. Watching him work, they work long hours. You'd think, coach goes over an hour a day or something, huh? Coach?
Yeah, and every time I'm running, this is years when I run, he'd give me words of encouragement and say, "Stop doing that." So now I walk.
And he's lost 100 pounds too. Dan lost a lot.
I lost a little bit, so.
It's hard to believe that a small town of Big Rapids. During that game, if you watched it, every time they say Big Rapids, I just get all blown out of proportion. Yeah, say it again. Say it again.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, it is.
We appreciate it. We appreciate Tony and all he does, but I appreciate you the most.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And we're truly blessed. I'm truly blessed to be in this Big Rapids community and working for Ferris State University and, having neighbors like you guys. So we're truly grateful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don't stay for the whole meeting. Take it home for dinner. That's why they win national championships, in my opinion. Those kind of coaches, dedicated and wonderful. Next, I'm prejudiced, I guess. Next, introduction of Miss Amy Cole as deputy clerk. Karen.
Hi. To go to the paper?
Sure, then we get on camera better.
Yep.
Better pictures too, Stephen. They don't see it. They gotta move away from the podium so we can see them.
I
Oh.
know. It was processing a little bit, but, I am very, very pleased to introduce you formally to Amy Cole to the commission and you, Mayor. Amy worked for the county for a long time and retired. Decided she wasn't really interested in being so much retired anymore and came to work for us. So in 2022. Yes. So when this position opened up, she threw her hat in the ring and we jumped on it. So we're very pleased to have Amy join us. I am with our team. Huh.
Well, thank you, Karen. Thank you for the introduction. I am very excited to be here.
I know it's hard to.
I'm very excited to be here tonight, the first meeting. I'm excited to learn from Karen and from Steve. I think we're going to make a great team. I am very excited and I look forward to working with all of you as well. So I'm just excited to be here. I've worked for the city for the last couple of years and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'm excited for several more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy. Study sessions. Oh, Carla is here. She kind of moved. She's in there. Carla, tell us about revenue sharing.
So revenue sharing represents a big portion of our general fund revenue. So I'm here to talk about that. And first of all, there's the article that in the Michigan State Constitution that requires 48.97% all state spending from state sources be paid to local units of government, and state revenue sharing payments represent the largest unrestricted portion of that requirement for cities, villages, townships, and counties. So we're going to refer to that as CVT, and that's what it stands for. There's two different forms of this. The first is the constitutional revenue sharing, and that represents 15% of sales tax collections at the 4% rate that's distributed to us. And that's on a per capita basis, as determined by the most recently completed 10-year census. And so the sales tax collection for the state of Michigan is 6%. However, they stick with the 4%. I don't know why that didn't go up, but that's, the other 2% I think is dedicated maybe to schools. It's some other kind of dedication. And the second component is statutory revenue sharing payments. And that is no longer called that really. It changed to EVIP and now it's just the CVT revenue sharing. So that's kind of changed over the years as well. And it's interesting that this started with the repeal of prohibition in 1933, when 85% of liquor license fees were returned to local units. I didn't know that, so I found that interesting. And this replaced statutory revenue sharing beginning in fiscal year 2011-2012. And there were certain requirements that we had to meet in order to get this. We had accountability and transparency, and that was, we had to publish documents on our website. The other one, we had to show that we collaborated with other units. So what did we do in conjunction with the township, with the county? We had to document that. Employee compensation issues, so there were some forms that myself and Heather had to fill out and signify that we were complying with that. And reducing unfunded liabilities, most of those requirements went away, leaving only the accountability and transparency, and then that's when EVIP went to CVT, revenue sharing. Now they've again modified those requirements. So more additional revenue sharing to all local units. So for example, Big Rapids Township wasn't receiving a portion of that statutory. They just didn't qualify, now they qualify. In addition, there's now a 3-factor formula payment, and if you look at Schedule 1 from the state, it's kind of complicated, and it's kind of looking at something the IRS would do. That's kind of what I relate it to. There's a 3-factor formula payment. You have taxable value payment, a weighted population payment, and yield equalization payment. And the city does not qualify for the yield equalization payment. In fact, only 50% of that is available for the CVTs.
How come we're not eligible for it?
It's
Is it what calculation on a calculation on a
Yes,
calculation?
it's very, it's kind of, yes, it's
Sounds
very
about right.
complicated. Yeah, so, yeah. And then the other thing that they also changed is, if you have a retirement benefit system in the underfunded status, you may use funds only for that, if you don't have one in the unfunded status, you can use it for any purpose. If you fall into that category, you have to, reduce your unfunded liabilities. So we're good there, we don't have to worry about that, so that money is our money. And it does go into, if you look at the guidance from the state, the different documents that tell you what the new factors are. And it's interesting. So, in addition to that, we get 6 payments a year, and it's always for the preceding 2 months. And that's again basically based on the sales tax collections that we get that. The Schedule 2 shows the projected payments to the city of Big Rapids for fiscal year 2015. So if you look at that, you can see we're scheduled to receive about $1,334,000. And then you can see that we don't qualify for that CV yield equalization section. And just this page shows that none of these other people here are getting that as well. And finally, the last schedule on here is just a 5-year history. And there's also an estimate for the upcoming fiscal year 24-25. So starting in fiscal year 1920, we were receiving about $1,270,000. And then 2021, it went up quite a bit. It was $1,464,000. Then we had COVID, so then it was started being reduced. So the first year after COVID, they were making some payments to kind of make up for that. But then starting in 22-23, you can see that it drops dramatically. And then you come along to 23-24, they added a few things. They added the public safety component to that, and that was about $9,000. And they also added the COVID local fiscal recovery fund, and that was about $4,000. So there's no guarantee on those 2 items that we'll ever get that again. So you can see for this upcoming fiscal year, this is what our breakdown represents. All right,
How much did we lose with the census?
oh gosh, I would say it's probably close to 400,000, I would say.
And none of that's
Overall.
related to the highway money that you get.
No, that's a whole different program. But that is also based on population as well. So that has been affected as well.
Are there
And that's
any
in the
earmarks on
street
any
funds.
of the money that comes, as long as you have your pension paid up, you can use it for whatever
Correct.
the
You can use
commission
it for
wants?
whatever you want. It goes into the general fund, but then you can use it in other funds. You can transfer to other funds to help where the funds are needed.
Thank you. Other questions from the commission? Public, any questions for Carla? Thank you, Carla.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Next, our revered engineer from Police and Pendenbury, Todd Richter, will talk about the pool.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Just wanted to present on the community pool improvements. We've had a couple of work sessions in December, late November. Have reviewed some concepts and some discussion. And this is the kind of the final combination of the early sketches we looked at. And so I just wanted to review it with you. And then I believe you have a copy in your packet and a cost estimate for, this is for the grant submittal. Working left to right, the main portion of the project is the re-marciting of the pool. That was something the city was looking at and has been budgeting for to accomplish going forward. We've also included a new water slide feature on the pool. And this comes from some discussion at our planning meetings to focus more on the exterior, the entrance of the pool, not so much on the building directly. So looked at a water slide feature, and then moving across kind of that green area here would be more a few picnic tables, some green space, and that would be surrounded with a direct decorative fence to kind of open up that front end of the pool and provide an area for residents and pool users to picnic or get a little grass area in there. That would also be be approximately where that existing storage building is out front, and we're proposing to remove that storage building and kind of open up that view coming into the parking area there. And then across the front, looking at tying into sidewalk that is proposed to come down Hutchinson and have a kind of an arch or a curved sidewalk there with some ADA accessible parking. That would provide for a drop-off area to the pool. We've added some flagpole and some entrance signage to that area. And then also a kind of an arch feature that would allow for just kind of a gateway to the pool facility. And then also another component was the allowing a concrete sidewalk along the center of the parking area through the parking lot, with the intent that there would be also in that drop-off lane kind of a raised, we call it a speed table, raised crossing there to slow traffic down a little bit coming through there. Would look at maybe switching the circulation of the parking lot. You would come down, take a right, and go around as a one-way to kind of control traffic. And that center parking or sidewalk would allow for pool users to walk on a sidewalk, get out of the parking lot, and get to the pool facility. Some of the other site amenities we looked at was some decorative lighting along that front walk heading up towards the pool building to kind of lighten that up and provide, with the goal of maybe having a little more 3-4 seasonality out of the feature. You're pretty close to Clay Cliffs there. That's perhaps a future trailhead, and it might be nice to have that lighting. And then we've also incorporated a fire pit feature near the pavilion. Real simple fire ring with a stone and chip type surface, because that is a little bit lower and prone to flooding down there. But that would also tie in some of the 3-season, 4-season use. Think if you had snowshoeing or something going on the Clay Cliffs, that would, could potentially be a warming feature. Something to the intent of the grant is the placemaking. And so trying to bring items into the concept here that create that sense of place and the community can use more than just the pool time frame. I think that's about it. I did run a cost estimate for you. The grant is set up at about $1 million for the entire grant, and it's a 50-50 match with the city and the potential grant funds. So at about $500,000 each.
Where does that handicapped walk around, where does that come in on that picture? That we may build one day.
Oh, coming down Hutchinson?
No, where is it?
Oh, Clay Cliffs.
I
The
see.
one that loops around, has 2 bridges?
Yeah.
Very up at the top there, that last bullet point, that's where the bridge going across is to Clay Cliffs right now.
So the people would park in that parking lot there
Yes.
to use that handicap, and they have a way of getting the handicap all the way there to that walk around with this plan.
Not as part of this grant, as that Clay Cliffs develops, then that would be a component of that. Right now, the the stone and chip patch, kind of that crossed hatch area in the circle there, that would be planned out to be ADA grades and everything, and that stone surface will allow for, ADA function. But we're not proposing to take it all the way to the existing bridge that's there.
And nothing to the building, not doing anything to the building. Questions from anyone? Commissioners first?
What contingency did you use? What percentage? Did you
Um,
use one?
I didn't really set a percentage on contingency, it's kind of built into the unit prices I have shown in the estimate.
Okay. So my next question is with regards to the grant, if it gets funded. Let's say we have $1 million, it's a 50-50 split. We go out to bid, it comes in over budget. Do we have, because it's got grant funding, do we have the flexibility to cross off some of these line items to get the project back under budget?
No, usually when the grant is set up, you develop scope items and that grant is approved based on providing those scope items.
So then might it make a little bit more sense to up some of these numbers for inflation and cross some things out so that we build in some flexibility? Cause we know things just keep coming in over budget, over budget, over budget.
Yep.
And that's not to the default of you and your firm, it's just, can't we put a
I have, and that's what in those prices I'm showing here, I have padded them, for lack of better, to account for that contingency.
I mean,
On the grant submittal, we can't show a line item contingency, it has to be into the unit prices.
but I would anticipate you would have like what the budget number is plus 15% in the line item. So, I mean, do you have an idea of what that percentage is?
I don't.
Okay. Cause I would much rather see us be very confident in the numbers and know we have some wiggle room and have a list of 15 versus a list of 20.
Okay.
Because I think that these are all good things, but we have to build in some flexibility for ourselves, is my perspective to the rest of the commission.
So Todd, on a grant, if you have those things listed, when it comes through, you have to put those things in, no matter if it goes over 500,000 or not.
Right.
And that's what you're getting at, Karen.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's find a way
is
to get,
We don't have to do all 20, can we,
but you do if the way it's written now.
you would have to do all the things on this list the way it's written out.
Yes.
So, like I said, I know the contingency is built in, but I would anticipate a minimum, it would be 15% on top of what the budget number is.
Josh?
Just so that you are aware, for the two items that I know firsthand, the slide and the Mars site, those numbers were factored in with the quotes that I got. Them understanding that this project would not be taking place likely until 2026, they factored that in when they gave me their quotes.
Totally get it.
Just wanted to let you know about those two at least.
Yep.
Other questions from anyone? Karen, more?
No, I think he understands where I'm coming from.
Anybody else? Please.
Did I miss something on the arch? I think I read it was like 60-some thousand. Is that still included in this?
We have an arch feature included in the estimate.
It just seems like an awful lot of money for an arch.
And it is, this is a pre-design grant type estimate. So we're putting it, think of it as if you're building a new house, you have an allowance. We haven't said that the arch has to be any certain configuration, any certain design. So that lends to your concern as well. It's as long as we provide an arch. If it comes in at 20,000, then we're okay.
Todd, you've heard my argument that we really don't have a Clay Cliffs pool building and whole site plan. We've not done that. We're just looking at this little portion there so that we can tie into the 500,000 we get on a grant if we get it. I would much prefer having a whole master plan of that area and what it includes than doing it in this manner. That's just my thought, because to me, the building is a major problem. And so, that's why I'm not so keen on just doing the makeup things instead of having a master plan with a plan for the next 5 years, we're gonna do this, 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 and this. That's just my own thought.
Mayor, I agree with everything you're saying. What it boils down to is we have the cost of the Mars site, which is
Yes.
just so close to that 500,000. And then you add in some things that just make sense, like extending the sidewalk, doing an ADA drop off. And we'd be spending 500 easy. So we even talked about this before. We're kind of
Yes.
in that weird spot with it.
Yep. I agree.
It just seems like this might be a great opportunity to potentially kickstart that bigger project on the entire park system right there. Potentially.
Others? Public? I'm all for the Mars site. Gotta have it to put the water in the pool.
Yep.
That's what the kids do, swim in the pool. But I'll leave it there. Mark? Anything?
No comments, Mayor.
Okay. Anything else, Todd?
No, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Todd, you might stay for the vote in case there's questions right at the vote time, if you don't mind.
Always plan on it.
Thank you. Public comment not related to items on the agenda, please. Sir?
Coca-Cola, I'm gonna beat that dead white elephant again about ocean support.
Excuse me, would you go to the podium, please?
I can.
It gets on picture better.
Love you. Yeah, I'm here to just remind you what happened this week with the county board rescinding support for Goshen. You're the last governing body in the county that still supports that project. That is a wholly owned subsidiary of a Chinese company whose board members are on the CCP, and using $715 million of our tax dollars, or even more, because it's been up to 1.4 billion. It's been in print, 1.14 billion, 1.4 billion, nobody knows, of tax dollars for a project that the constituents of this county have vehemently opposed in 3 different elections in 1 year. So you might want to consider that, because at some point that might come back on you with another election. Thank you.
Thank you. Other public comment on anything unrelated to the agenda? Anyone? Hearing none, we'll continue with our agenda on general business. The resolution adopting the 2025 commission schedule, we have to do it by law. Karen, anything unusual?
There's just a couple of things to note. There's a couple of Tuesdays on here. The next one actually being January 21st. Because Martin Luther King Day, we're closed that day. The second one would be Labor Day. That Monday we would be closed. We have 2 elections this year, one in May, one in November. So those would put those meetings back to back on a Monday. So May 12th and 19th, November 10th and 17th. That's it. Otherwise, everything's normal Mondays.
Can you send those now to the telephones?
Send them to the telephones.
Yeah, we could do an invite to people to have it come up on their calendar, is what the mayor's asking.
Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't following you. Yes, once it's
I'm not a
approved
computer
tonight,
guy,
I
Karen.
can
I don't
make it
know how to
official,
do
yes.
that.
Are you asking them to text the dates to people?
Well, no, they do it. It goes right onto your calendar.
I know
It's like a
what-
miracle.
I know what he's asking.
Yes, I can,
The city clerk could also do that for the commission members.
I'd be
That's
happy to
what I
do
meant,
that.
for all of us.
Commission would greatly
I thought
appreciate
you meant to the public.
No, to us.
Mayor, I thought you.
I'm the one who has the trouble getting it.
Oh,
We don't need you need a resolution for that? Do I hear a motion for a
I
resolution?
move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Question, please, Karen.
Johnson,
Yes.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Simmon,
Yes.
Gunther,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Next is a resolution adopting the poverty guidelines. We do that every year. Is that federal or state? Either one.
They come from the state. I don't know if they're higher up than that or not, but yeah, the state sets those, and ask for the local units to then further adopt them, which we do annually.
Questions regarding the poverty limits? We can't change them anyway. We just accept them. Do I hear a motion for that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
If there's a second. Questions? Please.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Gunther,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Next is a letter C, resolution approving a special land use permit to a home occupation of dog grooming. Comments, questions? Is there a motion to approve the special land use permit for the dog grooming business at
So
five oh
moved.
seven Winter?
So moved.
Well, there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Further questions, anything?
I had
Please.
one. The way this was written was that a maximum of 2 dogs per appointment and no boarding of dogs. This doesn't say how many appointments can take place at once. So thinking forward, right now, the business is 1 person. So logic says they can only have 1 appointment at a time. But I asked the commission if they think it's necessary to spell out further that there's only 1 appointment at a time.
Michelle, you wrote that. What do you think?
Because the special use stays with the property.
So the special use does stay with the property, but it's limited to operate how it is operating at this time. So if there were to be an expansion of the use, I don't know if they could fit more than 1 person in the space that they have working at a time. And so if they wanted to expand the location or expand the size of the area that they're using, they would have to come back
For
before.
another special land use.
Go ahead.
With my space, I'm only allowed to.
Can you go to the podium, please? I gotta keep paging me so I remember that. I have good hearing.
Hello, my name's Seth. With the space that you guys allot me, I'm only allowed to use a certain percentage of my home in the first place, so I wouldn't be allowed to expand in the first place. I'm already at my limit with the percentage of space I'm allowed to use, so I couldn't expand if I wanted to.
It looks in the picture that you showed us that you could put another table in there and have another person in there grooming when you're grooming. Doesn't look like it's that teeny to me.
The rest of the space is used for personal household things. That's why they have like the pictures of the things in the diagram. I really couldn't fit another tub in there and do work. Like I said, I am already at my limit of what the space I'm allowed to use. And it is just one-on-one dog grooming. It's just me, 1 appointment, next appointment, they leave. It's just, there's never more than another person's dogs in there anyway. It's only ever me and 1 appointment. I was also wondering about the stipulation of 2 dogs. Instead of 2 dogs, it could just be 1 person's household appointment at a time. Because I have clients that come in that have 4 little schnauzers, and they're tiny little things, you know. They don't make a lot of noise.
Doesn't say that in the resolution.
That's not what the plan commission proposed. The plan commission,
So if you want to start all over again, you can, or you could leave it the way it is.
Oh, so I have to start the whole process over to
If you change it from 2 to 4,
Well, I never said 2. It was the commission that said 2. It was never my idea.
they're kind of important, those planning commissions. So we're voting on 2, as it's written in the resolution.
yes, that was the recommendation.
Other questions, comments? Hearing none on the resolution.
Simmons,
Yes.
Gunther,
No.
James,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Rhodes.
Yes.
Motion passes. Good luck.
Thank you.
Do good. Appreciate it. Now, there's, the grant is coming. You make it. The next resolution is regarding the RAP grant for the pool. Who's gonna speak?
I'm happy to speak, Mayor, and others, if it may jump in. I think we've talked about this a number of times, as Todd referenced. You heard what his version of refining our comments, staff comments, commission comments, shows up in the plan that he had on the screen. It's an opportunity to take advantage of some grant funding for placemaking, and that is the commission's discretion of whether or not we do that. So, and if there's line items we need to take out of the grant, the commission would probably need to inform on what ones we're wanting or willing to take out, if this is something you want to move forward with. Thank you.
Megan, anything? from your end?
No, I think everybody's, been really forward with sharing information. If you have any questions about the grant sum, I'm here. But I think we're all on the same page with everything, so.
I have a question.
Please.
Here, which kind of goes back to what Karen was saying, but can a line item be moved? Like if something comes in and it's a lot less than what is proposed in the grant document, can that excess be moved to something else that might end up going over?
As long as it's a scope item. So say
As long as it's what?
as long as it's a scope item identified in the grant.
Okay,
So if
Can't bring in something new and
If
different.
lighting came in 50,000 over, but the Mars site came in 50,000 under, you.
that's fine.
Yes.
Thank you.
So then what goes with the grant? We have the written statement of improvements that are proposed. Does this go with the grant as well, this long list?
Normally, we would summarize that. So there's things in there, mobilization, that sort of thing that would get lined into maybe the main scope items that are identified in the grant.
Then my only comment would be that it would be a good idea to go back and look at these line items and make sure you have a minimum contingency for each line item built in, and that it's consistent across the board. And if that means some of these items need to be taken out to get to 100, I'm good with that. That's my only comment.
Others have comments? My same comment, I'll repeat the same one I have. There's no master plan for this whole thing, and I don't think that's how the city should run its show. I think we should have an extensive study on it to bring it up to 1 million, so you can get the 500 is a little bit different kind of financing that I'm not sure about. Anybody else? Please.
Much as I love that pool, go along with, I don't think,
Rosemary, do you mind talking in the mic, or can you give her a mic? Can you?
oh no, I don't
have
wanna
a
hold the
portable one,
mic.
Mayor.
You don't
Can you
have a
give,
portable?
if
No,
I
okay.
have to go up?
No, go
Would
ahead,
you
yell.
please-
I will go up
Could you
there.
please?
Oh, okay.
If you would,
Thank you.
Mary.
We gotta get that portable.
I don't like this.
But you're a good sport. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
When you had your study session the 1st of December, I had to leave. I ended up in the hospital the next day, so I had a good excuse why I couldn't be here. I'm all for that grant. I mean, if it's a grant where we can get $1 million and we have to put in 500,000. We know we have to put a lot of money into that pool, but I think we need, and I think I echo a couple of your sentiments. The main thing for a pool is to get that pool Mars-sited. Get it safe for people to be there. Whatever, and that, I think, from what I've heard, and I haven't been talking to anybody about the real figures, but that 500,000, I'm told, is gonna come pretty close to Mars-siting. But that's the reason for the pool, is that pool for people to enjoy that pool for lessons. Some of this, I was kind of astonished at. It's stuff that personally, I question whether we need it for the purpose of the pool. I would hate to see us have a whole bunch of line items that we get in there and then we're told we have to do it. And we don't have the money. Where's that money coming from if we have to do it? That's my concern. You know I love that pool, you know why. And I support that pool, but I kind of go along with the caution part on some of it, that we don't get ourselves in a predicament where now we're kind of really obligated, so now where do we get the money? We're not gonna get the money on fundraisers and like that. It could help. That part's not gonna happen. So as much as I hate to say it in a way, I would go on the side of caution. Thank you.
Mark, do we have cash?
We do.
And it won't be paid, they won't start this spring.
This would be a summer 2026. I don't know when we would find out about it, but it would, I mean.
Like later this year.
Yeah, this would be a
March or
2026
April, we'll
project.
probably find out about
And maybe
it.
we would try to time, some of it post pool closing. I mean, we'd have to figure
Right.
out all of that, but I would be confident to say it's not in 2025, it'd be 2026. So we have 2 years.
Let's be the devil's advocate. What happens if we get the 500 and then we don't have our 500? What would happen? You have to pay it back to the state, or what happens if you fail to?
You'd have to, and we've never done it that I've ever known, but it happens across
Well,
the
assume it
state.
happens somewhere.
And think of our most recent wastewater revolving fund, right? It was allocated and we weren't a part of it. Well, the only reason we became a part of it was because other people backed out. Which is, it happens across the state. I wouldn't advise doing it. I'd try to avoid it at all costs, but people do it. They apply for grants and then they don't take them for any host of different reasons, but that could be done. I just don't.
You might never get another
It's not
grant.
best practices for sure.
Thank you, that helps. Anyone else?
I have
Yes,
a
David.
couple comments. First comment, kind of coming from the marketing perspective here, and Todd kind of mentioned it, placemaking. At first I was kind of very cautious about this, but I get where the state, in my opinion, the state's gonna look at this and they're gonna wanna see these kind of things because they want this for placemaking. So we kind of need to throw these things in there to help. Yes, the main issue is the MAR site, but we have to have in these beautification, these placemaking things, if we even want to have a chance, from what I'm understanding, to get this grant. The second thing is that I understand the concern about, having the money, but I think it's a good opportunity to see, I've heard people say, oh, we got this person that's willing to help, this person's willing to help. Kind of now it can be a good opportunity, if we are able to get this, to have these people kind of, I'd say, put their money where their mouths are, and they can step up, and they can, we'll see how really much the pool matters to the community, because they can step up and help us in the long run, so.
Thanks, David. David, my thought process is, if we go to phase 2, where we do a building and connect it to all the Clay Cliffs walks and this and that, then I think we're gonna have to fundraise it, so.
Well, that's kind of my thought, is if we can see where our support is, so that we will know if it's even worth even trying to do a phase 2, if we're gonna have the funding from the community, so.
I have a,
And then,
just a comment to make on it too. I mean, if we are looking at the Clay Cliffs project, if we do apply and receive this grant and are doing these improvements, we are gonna apply for another grant in the future for the Clay Cliffs project. This is gonna, really, elevate that grant application as well, to say, look at the work we're already doing here. So, I mean, just other
factors to consider as well.
And we missed the grant. We missed that last one. We didn't get selected for the handicap walk around and over 2 bridges and back, and which I thought was a wonderful idea. We didn't get that one.
I just think that this would be an excellent, where I do agree with Commissioner Simmon about maybe being slightly cautious, and is there something in here that we can eliminate that would allow us to have those funds allocated to a different part of the project? So picnic tables, don't we have picnic tables aplenty, or am I wrong? Would these be specific picnic tables that are designed in a different shape than what the city already owns? Or could that line, I mean, it's only a few $1,000s, but
Yeah, I mean, anything can be adjusted. The picnic tables were ADA accessible picnic tables, so
Okay.
they don't have a bench on one side,
Yep.
so that a wheelchair could be pulled up to the side. And it
aesthetics probably go into effect with that too. the
well, it
aesthetics
was
for this
also a part
design.
of that placement, you know, to show that this is a
Mhm.
picnic area and to try and tie a little more of the ADA, which is heavily, you know, in my opinion on these grants, that's a big component of it, is making sure that you have that component of the facility.
Yeah. I
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I know one thing I really appreciated seeing, being in the neighborhood of this particular park, this pool, is seeing the safety measures that are being proposed for traffic flow and where people are allowed to walk. There's a lot of small kids who take swim lessons over there, and with the influx, with the pool being free, if we were to, our direct response to having such an influx of people attending that pool was to make safety accommodations, if we were able to offer those, I think that that would be amazing. In such a short time span. Usually I think things like that take years and years and years, but in the long run, does anybody wanna accidentally see a kid get squashed because of the way the traffic flow is currently?
Very good. Others? Is there a motion for the resolution for applying for the RAP grant for the pool?
So moved.
Second.
Who's the second? Any further questions? Karen?
James,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Simmon,
Yes.
Gunther.
I'm a lover of the pool all the way, but I don't like doing it this way, so I'm gonna vote no. And the motion carries. Megan, go for it.
I'll go back to.
Next, I added a little, we have to create a new, committee to find a city assessor. The commissioners all got, the resignation letter from Dan Kerwin, and it's Brad's recommendation that first we accept that resignation letter. It's not on the agenda, but we can do that, easily without it being there. Do I hear a motion to accept Dan Kerwin's resignation letter?
Well, I think you also want to state that you declare that the office is vacant upon his resignation. That, well, Brad asked for that.
Yeah,
I'm just following through.
That doesn't, obviously, make the
I
motion.
would make a motion that we accept the letter of resignation from Dan Kerwin, and that the office of the city assessor is now vacant.
Well, that's pretty obvious if you resign, but
I
go ahead and say
Hey,
it.
you
I
Do I
know,
hear a second?
Second. I will second.
Sheesh, that's lawyer talk.
I know.
Legalese.
Sheesh. Questions, comments, anything? Anybody? Roll call, please.
Okay. Johnson,
Yes.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Simmon,
Yes.
Gunther.
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Next is, we need a resolution to appoint member to a city assessor hiring committee. I made no phone calls. It happened kind of quickly, and there's always the dilemma, and I don't think it's a fair dilemma, but I don't know how the county commissioners do it, but we have actually 4 people who work pretty much full-time and on day jobs. And to call people in from out of town for night interviews is possible. But that's why I always tend to lean to Lorraine and I, because we can show up easily without having Karen to say to, I gotta leave this So I just need comment on that, and I'll appoint anybody who wants to be on there. If they can make the meeting, if it's at night, it's at night. Hey, Mark can come back
Oh,
at
sure.
night.
Yeah, whatever works for best.
I think Mark would like to be on that committee, and, you had a couple of employees.
It's certainly at the discretion of the commission. Carla is the department head that the assessor's office is in. Elizabeth Zelinski came to me, she's the staff person in the assessing office. She would like to be involved to some level.
Probably not on the committee, that's not really good.
Could have a member of the public. You could have Shyla, we've had, the equalization director from the county, who I've talked to on this. She, was on our last one. It's
We
up
need
to
two
the
commissioners on there.
So,
I would be happy to serve as one.
My question is, when would we be looking to have the first meeting on this?
As soon as possible. Put it out,
Right.
I would assume within a month.
Oh, next week or two, I would think we would try to get together.
so where does it say that it has to have two of us?
Just,
Is that in the charter?
No, that doesn't, I don't
Is that
think
just
we'll
a-
find it in the charter.
No, I
It's
don't.
it's a matter of the Open Meetings Act, you can't have three or more.
yeah, we can't go to 3.
Yeah,
That's why I
but-
said 2.
So I think I have maybe a different perspective on this. I am confident in city staff and the city manager that they have the ability and process in place to have their own committee and to make a recommendation to the city commission. I would also like to see it as an opportunity for maybe some less senior staff who haven't had the experience of being on a hiring committee be involved versus de facto it has to be, we have to have 2 commission members on it.
But this is a position that is appointed by the city.
I
And that's why-
I think
I
there should always
understand
be
that.
2 commissioners on
Okay.
a committee that appoints something, it's our job. We only have about, 4 people we appoint? 4 or 5. That's just my thought. Anyone else? I would be fine to have it all community members, I wouldn't bother me any. But
I would like to be considered. I think it would be a good experience for me, kinda like Karen was saying, be a good way to, kinda see what, also be good for me to just be able to be part of it. And the nice thing is I can get out, afternoons are not a problem, I can get out early afternoons if I need to, I can get out 2, 3.
it's fine with me.
Okay.
Lorraine's still on board?
So the mayor gets out.
It's not that exciting of an interview to 3 assessors. They have to be level 3s, we only get 2 or 3 level 3 assessors.
Lorraine's
I'm
thinking,
okay.
how did I get roped into this one?
No, that's not the comment.
Mark, I don't have the ability to strictly appoint, that's not part of the mayor's job. But I think we have 2 volunteers and take it from there, get the people.
I would like to move that Commissioner James, yes,
I think we still have one more hole, though.
one more hole?
So, Mayor,
Is it-
I'm just filling in these blanks.
Yep.
Commissioner James, Commissioner Rhodes, city manager, Carla Staffen. There's nothing to say we have to have 5.
I know, I
You could
just-
have 4, or you could do one more.
I feel like 5 would be a nice number because
That's
it
what
balances
I
out a
suggested
tie.
5 too. in
We have
case of tie.
our human resource person, Jamie, that's another option. Heather's certainly has a great input on all sorts of things. I'm just throwing out names here. I mean, I could ask Shyla.
Ask Shyla.
Ask Shyla.
She knows every assessor in the state of Michigan, and she's the best.
Yeah.
Is
Maybe
she
she'll
someone
apply.
who would apply because if she's on the committee, that
Yeah.
kind of makes
Ask her,
it.
would you, Mark? If you ask her to be on the committee, say, are you
No,
sure you
she
don't wanna
wouldn't.
apply?
I'll ask Shyla and see what she says.
You don't wanna lose Shyla.
So
Good, is that good enough, you got it? Are we,
I
do we have to
think-
do that in the
I
motion?
think we're good.
Resolution.
Yeah.
Wanna do a resolution for
This
that?
resolution.
Go ahead, Amanda,
Okay.
shoot away
So,
with the resolution.
I make a resolution that we appoint Commissioner James, Commissioner Rhodes, City Manager Mark Gifford, City Treasurer Carla Steffen, and Shyla to the City Assessors Hiring Committee.
Is there a second?
So moved, or second.
Kyander.
There's a motion and a second. Further discussion? Karen, please.
Rhodes,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Gunther,
Yes,
James,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
very good. Thank you all
Before
for
you went, I have
volunteering.
one quick question. Is this going to be subcontract again? Is that going to be the primary focus?
I think we have it out both ways. As an employee and then as a RFP kind of.
So it can be
substitute.
advertised
It can be advertised both ways.
to see if what we get?
Yeah.
And we had it both ways this last time, different.
Okay. Thank you.
Other unscheduled business for the city commission.
Well, what happened to
Did I forget something?
ordinances?
Oh, well. All right, there are several an ordinance that's made to work on all those chapters you see there. And I've heard all kinds of things about people wanting to do it and other people not wanting to do it. I'm gonna open it up.
Would you like me to summarize first?
Sure.
So.
Bring your key.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, you have in front of you an ordinance, a proposed ordinance that would amend 8 different chapters of the city code. And basically what this is it came to attention through city staff and through Commissioner James that there were some issues with people coming seeking appointment to boards or coming before the commission to seek approval for certain things, get licenses that weren't compliant with city income tax, at least filing the returns. And so we talked about that at the staff level with Commissioner James and came up with the idea that we should enshrine in ordinance a requirement that if you're gonna come before the city commission for any sort of an approval, you would have to first be certified as being compliant with having filed all your income tax returns with the city. So that's what this is, and I can go through each of these sections if you'd like. But the first one amends chapter 33 so that members of boards and commissions that would be appointed by the city commission would have to, all the language in here is new language, so none of this was in the ordinance right now in this first page. And I know Commissioner Simmons, you like to see the red lines. It was a little difficult with this one because most of the language is added in, so there's only 1 or 2 small parts where I revised language, so I'll point those out. But this first part is all new language, and it would just allow for any person who comes before the commission to be appointed to a commission or a board would have to be certified from the city treasurer's office that they're compliant with filing city income tax. They're not in default to the city in any way. And it provides, based on language in the charter, I kind of mimicked the language in the charter, which allows for removal of a person from a board or commission by the mayor with commission consent if they're in default, and I clarified that that would include people who are in default on income tax filings.
Also water, sewer, water.
Yeah, utility
Is that in
bills,
there? Is that
yes,
all in there?
all of it's in there. So default was already there, but we clarified, because default didn't necessarily say income tax returns, and in some cases, people might actually be owed money, we don't know because they haven't filed their return. So that was where the ambiguity came in, so we thought we'd clarify that default also includes not filing income tax returns.
One quick question while you're right there.
Yeah.
Where it says city income taxes, I just want to clarify that it also will pick up the 941 filings as an employer.
I believe so. So is that part of the income tax returns that gets filed with the city?
That would be part of a 941 filing. It's not technically a city income tax return. I have employees, you go over $100, you have to take the withholding, remit it to the city on a monthly
Right.
basis.
Yeah.
End of the year, you do a summary from January to December, submit the W-2s. That is not a city income tax
Yes.
return, it's a 941 filing.
But it is an obligation of the taxpayer to the
It's
city.
an obligation of the city income tax office
Yeah.
and an obligation of a business.
So then I think it is covered, because I put coverage language in there that says all obligations to the city have to be
Okay.
met.
So
So
I
it has
just
nothing
wanna-
to do with federal.
Because that's an issue.
Yeah.
Is a big issue down there in income tax.
got it. No, I think you're covered, because I think the language I added, and I added it as a
Okay.
catch-all because I don't understand the intricacies of the income tax department. But it says all obligations to the city have to be certified as you
Okay.
met, which would include any filings that are required
right,
by the city
thank you.
income tax office. So that's the first section. Section 2 does the same thing with regard to bids and contractors. So anybody that comes
the city won't accept any bids and you won't award any contracts to anybody that's in default to the city, which would include not being compliant with income tax, or any other obligation to the city. Section 3 does the same thing to business licenses, so Chapter 110, which deals with business licenses, would require any person submitting an application for business license as part of that to have an affidavit that they're in compliance, and that would be certified. It also applies to not just the business itself, but any owner, operator, or manager of the business. So that way, you might have, a small business that comes in and the business itself is compliant, but the owner has not filed tax returns for 15, 20 years. This would cover that. So it would require them to become compliant. Next section, Section 4, does the same thing with transient merchant and peddlers licenses. And that section is the same as it was. I only added in one sentence there. It starts with additionally, no license shall be granted. It's just one sentence second to the last in that paragraph. That's the only new addition to that section. Section 5 does the same thing with pawnbrokers and junk dealers licenses. With that, in paragraph A, I just added at the very end there, and the city treasurer. That's new language. And then paragraph C is new. Everything else is exactly as it was and exists in the code now. Section 6 applies to carnivals, shows, and exhibition licenses. Again, identical changes to the one above. Section A, I just added new city treasurer and the city treasurer, and then I added paragraph C. Section 7 deals with adult entertainment licenses and would prohibit any license from being issued to anybody in default to the city. And then finally, Section 8 deals with liquor licenses and deals with any application for a liquor license would have to include a certification that from the treasurer that they're not in default in any way. So that's what this ordinance covers. In conjunction with this, I provided a draft zoning ordinance amendment to the city staff to go to the planning commission, which would do the same thing with respect to special land use permits. So as a standard for granting a special land use, the person would have to be certified as compliant. That, because it's a zoning amendment, has to go to the planning commission first for a public hearing, and then you'll have it on your agenda conceivably in the next month or two.
What a building permit.
We didn't look at building permits, but I think that.
See, this is just getting to be a huge can of
I
worms.
thought they were issued through the county now.
Yeah, I don't know that
But
the
it's
city
us.
issues.
And I had a question with the liquor, so what if a charitable organization in our community who is chaired by somebody who is in default to the city comes before us? So now that charity entity now can't get a liquor liability for their special event because the chair or a board member representing them.
We don't wanna have our city treasurer clerk going through every single
Like,
charitable.
is that accurate to how it's written?
So the way it's written out, the way it is written now, before this proposal was, you have to be compliant with income tax.
Okay.
It did not cover, it said the applicant has to be compliant with income tax. It's become an issue before where the applicant was a LLC, and the applicant as a new business entity had no issue, but the owner of the applicant was in default, and so we couldn't do anything about that. This would address that issue. Your scenario is conceivable if a charity wants to come and get a liquor license and the charity is the applicant, then the board of, whoever's running the charity, the owners, managers, and operators of the charity would have to be compliant as well. So if they're not.
Somebody in the city
So a church
has to
board,
go through that whole church board and
Yep.
check all their tax records and stuff?
Anyone who's
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, anyone who's got an ownership interest or a management interest in the applicant. So if the applicant is a nonprofit organization or a charity, it would be the officers of the nonprofit organization.
So who does that then?
That would be
Mark gonna do that?
the treasurer's office and
Oh
Paul.
my gosh.
So,
So the dog thing where they neuter cats and all of this and that, you're gonna review every member on that cat board to see if they owe the city money to get the cats neutered? I think we're getting a little goofy here. What do you think, Mark? I mean, there's 8, 10 people on that cat neuter, what do they call it? Yeah,
What
I mean,
do
you're
they
gonna
come- what do they
investigate
come
every
into
one of their
this-
board members to see if they
What
owe
do
the
they
city
come into
income
the city
tax?
for?
Cause they wanna, say a lot, they do raffles, and they have to come to us, we have to approve the raffle. So we're not gonna approve that raffle if one of their board members owes the city income tax? I think that's getting a little out there. That's just my thought, gee whiz, there's some
Why
of
would
those
you
boards have
think-
10, 12 people
Okay,
on.
not to start an argument, but
We could.
we could. Why would you think that somebody has the right not to pay their taxes to the city of Big Rapids if they owe the city of Big Rapids taxes? I would like to hear that explanation.
But what does that have to do with cats getting neutered?
Well, you're taking it to the extreme. You're saying it, because of the way this was written, trying to cover things, you're bringing in this committee, which I can't answer because I don't know how that works.
Right, I mean, what type of license would TNR come for? Because these
Raffles.
Raffles, the.
But we have to approve the raffle.
Right.
So you're gonna have the treasurer investigate every board member of the, whatever that's called?
Because of the nature of that specific organization, there are so many people on
Yeah.
there, meaning there's a higher risk and chance that now the greater good of catching and releasing and spaying and neutering the cats in the community
That's what I'm getting.
doesn't get assisted.
Right, so
Maybe,
it's extreme.
Yep.
I think we don't want people in default to the city.
definitely not.
If they're coming to us for a license, certain types of licenses. I would be more comfortable having more time to go through this. And I would be more comfortable if we spelled out what the mechanism is for checking this. Who checks what? What does the city clerk check? What does the treasurer's office check? What is the, like, what is the process here? Right? Because we're just enacting this thing and we're kind of turning it over to city staff to say, now figure out how to do this. I would much rather spend the time and have city staff read through this, understand it, talk to each other, collaborate, come to us with language that makes sense to them and revisit it. Because I think what we're trying to do here makes sense. But to do it so quickly and to not really understand how all the moving parts are gonna work, and we bring up the issue with volunteer organizations and things like that, I don't think we need to move as fast right now with this. That's my take on it.
Brad, is there a way around that part of it?
The charitable boards, sometimes they don't even know who's on their board at a given time.
I mean, is
if
there-
it's a haphazard board,
Is there a way to have some kind of exclusion that this does not cover blah, 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 blah?
Yes, I mean, so the only things we're amending again are, there's bids and contracts, business licenses, which we're not talking about here with the
Right.
that would be for a private business. Transient merchant peddlers would not be covered would not fall into your scenario, pawnbrokers, no. So it's the carnivals, shows, and exhibition licenses, is that where they would be, if it's not under that, I don't think that your scenario falls under any of the amendments we're making, so I don't think we're changing anything that would affect somebody coming to get a raffle approval from the city commission.
But it also, okay, what about the background check part?
That was with regard to the adult
Was that
entertainment.
in there before, investigation?
Yeah, that's currently in the code.
Okay.
Yep,
all
that's
right.
not changing.
Okay, alright.
And that's with respect to adult entertainment licenses and a couple others, I think, but that is already in the code.
The mayor, just think that this whole raffle and nonprofit thing is a new way of thinking about this issue. The city code doesn't require them to get a raffle permit. That's the state, and that's probably why that's not in there
Right.
anywhere. So it's not in our code, it's a state requirement. That's just,
that would get us off the hook on all of those.
think so.
That'd be okay, Lorraine?
Yeah. That's, wasn't my big concern in the first place.
You're an
We all
income
know
tax
what
guy.
my big
Yeah, I
concern
know, I
is.
got it. It's not gonna change much if you wanna wait 2 weeks till the next meeting. I don't think it harms anyone to do it. I don't know if you're gonna
I agree with that. There's no
increase information.
rush if you'd like to take more time. I did provide this to
several of the department heads in advance, so they've got it and they've looked through it. I know I've talked with Paula on the income tax, and Carla's seen it, and Michelle, so.
In the past, when you run for office, you go to Tammy Gillis, the clerk, Karen, and she then says, well, no, I can't approve your candidacy till I take this to Carla, right, Carla? Then you take it over to the
income
tax, and then, so it works its way around. Yeah. And if you're doing it to lots and lots and lots of people, it sounds like a lot of work, but maybe it's not a lot of work.
Oh, it's certainly a sizable increase. I'm not the person doing the work, so I hate to comment on the amount of it. In terms of process, I would assume, and what we have discussed, Commissioner, is that the list, if you will, would live in the clerk's office. Right? It would be something that Karen and Amy would have to keep up, right? Who's on the board?
How often do you do it? Do you do it once a year? Because what if Lorraine is challenging an income tax issue with the IRS? She's already been approved to be a commissioner. Are they gonna investigate to see if she's still eligible to be a commissioner?
No.
When do they do it? How often do you do it to people who are on the planning commission?
The way it's drafted is, it's when someone comes for appointment to a board or commission. So that's it, when they come for appointment and get.
If they're going to default later, it doesn't matter.
Right. There is a provision in there that, again, it's already in the charter, that you can, you as the mayor, with the consent of the commission, can remove anyone for being in default to the city after 30 days' notice. So you give them 30 days, if they don't cure the default, you can remove them.
Well, how would I know unless Carla came to me and said they're in default?
Unless they're
I wouldn't
actively
know.
searching
Right,
the default.
right, there's nothing that says you have to police that, it's just if it becomes apparent that someone
It needs
is,
to be cleared up.
you have that authority, which you already do under the charter, this just mimics it in the code.
I guess my question is, like with a lot of things, if we're not gonna police it, what's the point in putting it in?
Well, again, it's already in the charter, so that's set in stone.
So then, are we then, the big move is to start policing it then?
Well, I think it has been policed over time. I mean, I can think of examples
Yeah.
when it's happened, so.
Right.
Do you fire every city employee who doesn't file a city income tax return?
No.
No, but there's a city that does. There is, of one of the 22 cities, and I have already asked Mark to get busy with Carla on that, or not Carla, excuse me, Paula, because that needs to be in place, and that's not, and it's gone by for too many years.
Really? So it
Yes.
has been an ongoing issue?
It's an ongoing issue.
So if you have a good employee, they withhold their income tax, right?
Well, they're just not filing,
They just don't
for
file,
whatever reason. Who knows?
but we hold their money, I mean.
Well, yeah, the $3 or $6 that's owed to them. I mean, it's usually not a big refund, but the point is, they're technically in default with the city. I'm not asking, and I've stressed this with Mark, I'm not asking for anybody to be fired, but there should be some kind of consequence that they're given so many days to get their house in order, and if that does not happen, then there needs to be some kind of consequence.
That's a completely different conversation.
Yes,
That
it
is a
is.
completely
You
different
started it, but it's
conversation.
That's a completely different conversation.
Probably the three in those seats right there gotta go.
No, they filed,
Mayor,
we checked.
I would like to agree with Commissioner Simmons on saying that I would like a little bit more time to review this.
There's no emergency.
And I would like maybe to see it on the next one this January. I just wanted a little more time to look at it.
Let's do
I
it
think
first
on
in
it.
February, cause we got a
First in
ton,
February?
we got a ton coming up in the next
Oh
meeting.
jeez, I'm gonna be in Lansing all day that day too.
So, we didn't vote, we didn't have a resolution,
Yep.
we could just keep it on the
Yeah,
agenda.
and pull it for the next
Right?
one.
Yeah, you can do nothing, or you can move to table it till a date certain, till February meeting, something like that.
We could just leave it.
You can just leave it, you've taken no action, it's not adopted.
And be sure to
meeting
put
in
it on
February?
the first meeting in February. By then. Other questions, good of the group, other business? Thanks for coming, Commissioner Routley.
Before you adjourn, I have a question.
Oh,
Oh, why do you do that?
I do it on purpose to bug you.
Okay, so I just wanna know what the proper protocol is. You know those rules and whatever they're called that you gave us? You know what I'm talking about? Okay.
Rules of procedure.
We
Yes,
vote on them
that's
every
it.
January.
Okay,
Next
I
meeting we
know
have
that.
to.
I made a bunch of notes of things, so they're supposed to be adopted whenever, so what do I do with a bunch of notes that I made and how do they get discussed?
City manager.
So, last year, and a couple of years now, what we've said is we should review these every year and we should talk about it in a work session. So that people can share their comments and we can talk about it. So, I was expecting to see a work session on these at the first or second meeting in January. That we could do that.
We could certainly schedule it for
Which
next
we can
meeting.
do, and that was gonna be my unscheduled business, is that we have new members on. We've kind of established what we wanna do is review these in a work session every year.
There's is it in the charter that says we have to have those policies and procedures approved at the second January meeting? Is it in the charter or it's somewhere?
I don't think that's in the charter.
I don't think
Just
it's
do policy
specific, I
procedures.
had it
The
out.
dates are. If you wanna get those to me, I can always do strikeouts and propose, make proposed changes.
They're
and
just
send
my
them out,
thoughts
or-
though.
Oh, okay.
But we
Well,
like
I
your
mean, just
thoughts,
share 'em with
Lorraine.
others, if you guys wanna
Email-
do it, I can
yeah,
compile
email
it.
to
is
us
what I'm
your
saying.
thoughts too,
I could do that.
Compile it.
individually.
Okay.
Tammy sent them out at like December 3rd, but we never heard anything back, so that's why I was like, I probably should send this again, cause I thought, well, maybe everybody's cool with how they are.
That's why, cause I was expecting a work session.
The last thing I have on unscheduled business is we have to resolve the evaluation of 2023 for Mark Gifford. We have a resolution that we can bring back and vote on if we have to, and then work toward 2020. We have to
Wait.
start his 2024 evaluation,
Wait.
which we haven't done.
So we completed a 2023 performance evaluation of the city manager. I have it right here, complete.
The one where that consultant came in,
Yep,
That's
that was in
2022.
That was in 2023.
it was done in 23 for 22.
We have a 2023 performance evaluation. When I looked at historically how this has happened, it's happened every year from January 1st to December 31st. So what I'm proposing is that for 2024, we review the city manager every year moving forward in January. With the city commissioner that's in charge of it, starts the process, people get their forms, the city manager has his list of tasks that he has to do. Come January, we do our review and we approve it, and we start to do things on a yearly basis so that the date of the performance evaluation match the year that it took place in. So, based on my research, I would say that we did complete a 2024 evaluation. I have the city manager's most recent performance statement.
2023.
I'm sorry, 2023. I have a city manager's performance statement. I have a couple of other things printed off for folks that I wanted to review. And then I was going to ask for a study session at our next meeting to formally present the process,
Good enough.
solidify it,
Good enough.
and then the next thing after that is we do the process.
Yep.
Does that work for everybody? Okay.
You said it fast there, and I need to see what you said.
You need to see what I said, you need the packet, and so
The
between.
2023 one that we did with that guy from Traverse City was for your 2022 work year. We just happened to get to it in 2023, is that correct?
I believe that's true.
But we have an evaluation for 2023. We do. But what's it for? Doesn't matter.
I stand by what I said first, is that from my perspective, we did a performance evaluation in 2023, so.
Very good. That's work session next time,
That would be a study session next time.
not a work session, study session.
The work session next time would be on the rules of procedure.
Yes, I have it, both those.
Good. Anybody else?
No, I'm good.
Anybody else?
I would say,
Before we adjourn?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
All right, we're adjourned.
I flared blinked before you did it.